And so a lot of women, they're like, nukes are kind of like giant penises. They're just like really phallic. Why are we not talking about this missile envy?
Hey, I'm Chris Reinacher, and welcome to Getting Bombed, the show where I get drunk with smart people and talk about the end of the world. I've gathered some nuclear experts in my friend Geoff's doomsday bunker. Hey, Geoff. As Geoff feeds them drinks,
Cheers.
and I ask them the hard questions. What is a nuclear bomb on the scientific level?
Those are live nuclear weapons.
Mutually assured destruction.
To kill everything.
Oh, it's scary shit. Today joining me is Yasmeen Silva, a nuclear policy advocate and grassroots activist. So what is the moment in which you got into nuclear war?
Whoa.
Or nuclear fascination, let's say.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
This is where I am not the policy wonk. I'm more just concerned citizen who's taken up the battle cry.
Okay.
And so I think we really often forget that when we're talking about nuclear war, you're never talking about things in terms of the human cost of life. You're always talking about it in terms of your missiles lost or gained.
Hey, Geoff. This is
Thank
Yasmeen.
you.
How's it going, man?
Thanks, Geoff.
Thanks, Geoff.
Cheers.
Cheers. He thinks he's a mixologist.
Should I be worried?
No.
Okay.
It's good. It's good enough. How is it?
It's delicious, actually.
I understand. I'm guessing. Then this is my layman's perspective that like, okay, why do we have so many? It's because this one is pointing at this station,
Right.
this one's pointing at that one. That's what it is, right? I might be wrong. But it feels more like a dick measuring contest than it
Totally.
feels like anything that's actually saving you.
Yeah, so really, honestly, what we're talking about is stopping toxic masculinity in all of its forms. I stumbled upon this article by this woman named Carol Cohen, Dr. Carol Cohen, and she got involved in nuclear weapons back in the 80s, coming to it from an academic perspective, and was one of the only women at the time who was really kind of let into the inner circle of what is now termed the nuclear priesthood. Dr.
Wait, did
Carol
you say
Cohen.
nuclear priesthood?
Nuclear priesthood.
There's a woman in the nuclear priesthood? Also, what the
found
hell
her
is
way.
the nuclear priesthood?
It's what all of the fabulous white men in suits who have control over the nuclear arsenal and make decisions via think tanks, policy, etc. call themselves.
So they're like,
they're
we're
running away
just
from
gonna
it
make up
today.
this nickname that we're ordained by God.
Yes, they're ordained.
So let's
yeah.
keep on hearing about these awesome dudes.
So these dudes.
Wait, but they let Carol in. Is
One
Carol
of the
kind of
few.
like a homie? Like Carol's
She
kinda-
became a homie.
Carol's like the new girl character.
She did,
Who's like,
yes.
I'm a quirky girl, but I hang out with guys.
Yeah,
they're
but
chill.
she became chill with the nuclear priesthood.
Come live in our frat
Come figure,
for
yeah,
the summer.
come live in a frat for a summer. So we're talking about like back in the 80s. So
Frats were crazy
frats
back
were
then.
frats were freaking crazy
Yeah.
back then. But also feminism was crazy at the time. And so a lot of women started talking outside of the nuclear space, started talking and they're like, nukes are kind of like giant penises. They're just like really phallic. Why are we not talking about this missile envy? These men in government are trying to figure out how we can bolster our nuclear arsenal and like come up with like the biggest mega tonnage release and
Let's
like
fucking smash that country.
Yeah, let's smash that country.
Yeah,
and so
fuck yeah.
Carol was like, all right, I've heard these feminist critiques of the nuclear space.
Okay.
And I have this opportunity to actually sit down with these men in like the nuclear priesthood. And she thought that they would be a little more covert about it.
Oh.
They were not.
Yeah.
Where like one general talked about like releasing all of the megatonnage in one orgasmic whump. And
I feel like he's like sinking a beer pong shot as he said that.
literally one of them talked about if we were go to nuclear war with at the time USSR, it would be a pissing contest. Which on one hand is like, oh, like boys, a pissing contest, like who cares? On the other hand, it's nuclear war.
Right. I also never understood the idea of a pissing contest.
You'd have to explain it to me.
Is it how long you go? Is it how far you can
Again,
be?
I just know it has to do with boys.
So in this fraternity, I feel like Putin is very traditionally masculine.
Oh,
right?
we can talk
He's
about
like-
the dictators and their traditional masculinity.
I feel
Yes.
like they think they're heartthrobs.
So Kim Jong-un was recently on a horse.
Okay.
Yeah, he rode it really majestic white horse through the snow-covered mountains.
It's very Putin.
There's very dictators and horses, man.
Dude, dictators
What is it about
love
dictators and
horses.
horses?
I
Who
feel like it's
knew?
that Napoleon painting.
You're like right. And traditionally, when you think about horses, it really harkens back to like warfare.
Yeah.
And really, we've seen dictators just using imagery of horses to further their ends of masculinized warfare. Like if we look at any time Putin's been on horseback, he's shirtless.
Well, no, and I think he loves that image.
Yes.
I think he thinks he's a little bit, he's like, I'm part dictator, part heartthrob.
But it's not only that, it's like how are they deploying these horses as a device? And think about how they're deploying nukes as a device.
Oh shit, I knew it was gonna come back.
I know,
to
it's
nukes.
coming back to nukes. I mean, do you know the names of the only 2 nuclear weapons ever to have been used in wartime?
No.
Fat Man and Little Boy.
Are those references to dicks?
No, they're references to the 2 nuclear weapons we dropped on Japan.
But do people call their dicks Fat Man and Little Boy?
I mean, they might. I don't know what people do behind closed doors.
I think it'd be really weird to call your dick Little Boy.
Well, really, if we're talking about it, we're coming fresh off of the Manhattan Project. This is like totally new technology. It's totally in secret. The United States public doesn't even know we have it. And the way that telegrams, right? We're back in the day of telegrams that were passed around these things were about the birth of baby boys. And so these scientists who were working on
So they saw these weapons as baby boys.
baby boys.
Is there a rapper named Baby Boy?
There should be, if
I
there
feel like there's
isn't.
a 90s rapper named Baby Boy. I also heard that the explosion out of a bomb that's dropped is called ejecta. And when they drop a bomb, they call it dropping a load.
I don't know how much more proof you need that these bombs are really just gigantic manifestation of men's phalluses.
Yeah, they're very Pornhub title-y in general.
So Carol really decided that she wanted to learn about nuclear policy so that she could change it and really bring the human aspect back. And she just kept finding out more.
Yeah.
We also started talking about like countries who acquired nuclear weapons as losing their virginity.
Okay.
And so this idea that like the
They
United
got a
States,
dick.
like New Zealand was like, we don't want anything to do with these nuclear weapons. You guys have your pissing contest. We don't want the US to put your nukes here, which is also like kind of factual. Like, don't put your nukes here. And somebody in the army essentially like wrote this really scathing op-ed being like, they're like a woman who like is spurning our advances. We need to teach them a lesson. And
Like, hey, I'm New Zealand and no means no.
no means no.
And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
geez.
And so when you're talking,
But what was New Zealand wearing?
oh God.
Yeah.
There was another expert that she cites talking about how if we were to give up nuclear weapons, it would be like giving up our stuff.
Instead of going, we have to disarm our nuclear
Yeah.
weapons for the good of humanity, they're like, no, that's like giving up your dick. And guys are like, I don't want to give up my dick.
But the thing is that conversation only happens up here. They're talking about these nuclear weapons amongst themselves, and they're talking about dick measuring and giving up their stuff. And that's how they're framing this conversation. That's the thing, is that we need a cultural reset. Like,
Yeah.
men, on the whole, see violence as a means to an end, right? And so when you have men in the room making these high-level decisions, and you're faced with an enemy, if you're a man, you've been socialized generally to be like, oh, playground bully, let me punch him first. And at the end of the day, if you're really boiling it down, that's what diplomacy versus military is on a governmental level. It's the military is always seen as a masculine means to an end, and the way that we should resolve conflict. Like, we have conflict with somebody, we go to war with them. Whereas a woman, you're like, all right, what can I say? How can I de-escalate this? And I
Yeah.
think it starts with this kind of culture shift. And really, nuclear weapons are this
So it's
meta.
about-
And this is what really drives my work. It's not just this existential threat of nuclear war. It's really like, if we are looking to build a better United States, like, where do we start?
You know, like, guys, like, don't look at your dick as a nuclear weapon. Look at your dick as something that can save humanity and continue humanity. Not without consent land in somebody else's country.
Amen.
Look, we can have a few dicks, but my analogy's getting lost. What I'm saying is fuck nuclear weapons.
That was great, by the way.
That's true, though.
Penis
Yeah.
envy is a thing of the past.
Well, Yasmeen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's been so interesting getting to know the impact of nuclear weapons outside of just they go boom, we go bye-bye. We'll see you next time. I've been Chris Reinacher, and this is Getting Bombed. To hear my entire conversation with Yasmeen Silva, check out the Getting Bombed podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your premium podcasting content. Learn more about what you can do to prevent nuclear war at beyondthebomb.org. Blow this conversation up so we don't all, get blown up.